Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you in another video. All right, so we got to talk about fantasy basketball. Not necessarily specifics, but just theories of what it is I believe works. Because I was listening to some fantasy insiders as we're getting closer to the season beginning, and I just have an opposite idea about what makes sense in regards to drafting deeper teams. And I know some of you guys probably don't play fantasy basketball because you got to keep up with the teams every single day. And if you guys follow my channel, you kind of know where I'm going to go with this because I talk about this all the time. But it really does just come down to the same concept. Youth. Now, in situations where I'm drafting a deep team, one of the things I always say is if I'm going to start going into the bench players, after this, all the starters have been drafted, all the guys that are rotational 6 men on their team have been drafted. Once we start getting into that range, I'm going straight to the rookies. I'm not looking, like there's a team that I had where it's only 4 teams in the league, and we draft like 30 players per league, per team, right? Just almost take up everything there is to see. I think I have about 17 rookies on the team. And the reason why I do that is because you got to look at it like this. If a guy has been in the league for 4 years or 5 years and he's an established bench guy, then his usage isn't going to be very high at all. But your rookies, you don't know what they're going to be. Especially these guys in the first round that are drafted 12th overall, 13th overall, even 8th, 9th. A lot of times those guys are slapped right next to career role guys. And a lot of times people just keep snatching up the career role guys thinking they can get some value out of them. A career role guy is not going to give you much of anything, and he's likely going to get injured and not help your team anyway. You're going to end up playing the waiver wire regardless. Meanwhile, you're leaving Brandon Miller on the board, the Thompson twins on the board, Anthony Black on the board, and it makes no sense. And I just keep snatching these players up. Why? Because they're going to ultimately have an opportunity to push past the role players on their team and maybe even become starters because that's what they were drafted to be. Now, if they happen to prove themselves as role players, which a lot of them end up doing over time, then you know which ones you're going to end up getting rid of and you end up playing the waiver wire anyway. But some of these dudes y'all be drafting in the back of these teams, they ain't going to play. You know they ain't going to play. They're not going to give you anything worth a damn, and their upside doesn't exist. And if you try to trade them for something, you can't get nothing for them. If I want to draft a rookie, chances are if he pops, I can trade him for something even more valuable later on because his name is going to be hot. How can a career role guy's name do anything if he's constantly stuck behind people who are clearly going to play a lot? And then in situations where if a superstar gets hurt, the first thing the team wants to do is trade to get a better player. They're not even going to give those dudes any opportunities. So for me, it's like this is a no-brainer. It's been a no-brainer for as long as I've been playing fantasy, and I always find myself in the top 3 of just about every league I'm in because I end up taking the higher level players that are going to have opportunities to do more rather than going after career role guys that are just not going to do anything ever. They're role guys. They get 15 minutes a game. They may have one game where they have 20 points or one game where they have 4 steals or something like that. Other than that, them dudes are going to be on the back of the bench. Sometimes they're not even going to play. You're going to have them in your lineup. They ain't going to do nothing for you. Your stars are going to get hurt and they ain't going to be out there. It makes no sense. Go with the rooks, man. Go with the rooks. If you had these deep leagues and all of that, skip all that garbage. You know a dude is not going to play. You know he's like the 9th or 10th guy on the back of the bench. Don't use him. You know he's been in the league for 25 years as a role player. Don't use him. Go for the rooks. It works. Because even if it doesn't pop, it has a more likely chance of you returning on value just simply because these guys are drafted to be a certain thing. So let's say, because I'm seeing Scoot Henderson's name left on the board. Brandon Miller's going undrafted. Thompson twins are going undrafted. Jarris Walker's going undrafted. And I'm sitting here like I'm just snatching these dudes up left and right. I'm seeing people getting drafted. Names that you know ain't going to play. If they get traded, they ain't going to play because they're career role guys. Most nights, they not even going to get on the floor because they stuck behind the Bradley Beals and the Kevin Durant's. Why are you drafting these people? Don't draft him. Don't draft him. Draft the rookies and the second year guys. Because I'm telling you, what ends up happening is by the time the end of the season comes around, everybody's trying to make trades with me because I got all the youngsters that everybody ends up seeing pop. Last year, I had Paolo Banchero on just about every team I had because people kept leaving him on the board. I could take him in the 9th round. And you know what he's going to be. If you scout these dudes in college, you know they're going to be stars. Or the likelihood of them not at least reaching starter status is low. But you just have to wait for them to do that. So in the likelihood of this, you're going to play the waiver wire anyway. That's the point. If you know what you're doing in fantasy, then you're going to have to play the waiver wire. No matter, I don't care how well you draft. Your team ain't going to look the same as it does at the end of the year. So why are you drafting guys that you know you're going to have to drop anyway? At least you draft a guy that's been taken in the first and second round. You know, the first round rather, you know the likelihood of him increasing on value is really, really good. It's really good. A guy like Jarris Walker, he's going to start at the power forward position for the Indiana Pacers before the end of the season, if not at the beginning of the season. Why is he going undrafted? Why is he going undrafted for guys that are not going to come off the bench? Guys that are going to be playing behind the best players in the league. How does this make sense? And what ends up happening, y'all try to trade those guys to me for the rooks that end up becoming something. And you know what ends up happening to you? Decline. I'm at the top of your league. Decline. Because I got my stars and I got all of the guys on the back of my bench are future stars. Future stars who are better than the guys that you have established in the back of your bench because they're established role players and these guys are going to send past them very soon. Very soon. So I don't see no sense in any of that. For me, it's like, look, there's certain rookies that you look at their situation and you know they're probably not going to have the opportunity to really start. You look at a guy like Kason Wallace. If he gets traded to a place that's, will allow him to start, then of course I'm going to need him right now. You know what I'm saying? Nick Smith. If he gets traded somewhere where he's actually going to play, I'm going to need him on my team right now. But like some of these dudes, you just know they're going to start. The Thompson twins, they already have established roles on their teams. Both of them, especially with Amon's situation being that is Kevin Porter and his legal situation. You remove him from the team, at the very least, Amen Thompson's coming off the bench to start the season. And you know he's more talented than 80% of the team already. So the likelihood of him starting or having enough minutes or having big games is high. Because he's one of the most athletic players in the league. He can already facilitate all types of stuff. His brother, Ausar Thompson. You can see him slotting in at the very worst, backup small forward. Yeah, he may start the season getting like 15 minutes a game. By the end of the season, he's going to be a starter. It's inevitable. The only thing that can keep that from happening is him getting hurt. Literally. Like the only thing. And so you see stuff like that, and then it's like, I'm seeing people drafting people that you know damn well ain't going to play, man. And I don't want to put names out there, but like the likelihood of them getting off the ground is low as hell. Maybe they might be a starter, but they're injury prone. Yeah, they might be a starter, but they probably shouldn't be in 99% of the situations. It's just that team needs a small forward. And because they don't have one. You know what I mean? Because they have no path to getting one. So I'm seeing people like Eric Gordon getting drafted over Amen Thompson. How does this even make any sense? How? You know what I'm saying? Like, no, y'all. Let's get into the understanding that what you want is for what you get to double in value. And some of these rookies I pick up, look, they're not going to have a good year. Maybe they're going to get injured. Maybe they just don't play well. Maybe they just bust all the way out. Cool, play the waiver wire. It's the same equivalent as me drafting one of them dudes that I know I'm going to use end up waiving anyway. No problem. But I'm telling you, I've drafted close to 100 teams this year already. And what I'm telling you is most of my teams have guys like Amen Thompson, Brandon Miller, Ausar Thompson, who else? Scoot Henderson. How is Scoot Henderson even on the board? How is he even on the board? But guy that talented, and y'all not drafting him? I'll take him. He's on almost all my teams. Keontae George, although I'm not really sure about him, only because of the usage might not necessarily be there, but his talent is. And they could use a point guard. There he is. So it's up to the Utah Jazz to use him properly. But if he gets the minutes and uses them the way I think he's going to use them, he's going to have fantasy value by All-Star year, by All-Star break. It's just like, look, Jarris Walker, who's in front of him? They have sticks behind him. They let one of their power forwards go to the Celtics. The job is his. They targeted him in the draft. Everybody had him in the mock draft going to the Pacers, and he actually ended up there. That's how much of a fit he was for the Pacers. Of course you want him there. Of course. And I can't think of the name of the guy that went to the Washington Wizards. I can't think of his name. Mine's gone blank on him. But he's at the 7th pick. I think he was 6th pick overall. Probably shouldn't have been taken that high. But he's definitely going to have fantasy value. Why? Because the Wizards don't have anything. They don't have anything at all. So of course the rookie's gonna get high usage just off the strength of the lack of their depth. Or I look at a guy like man, I don't have names in my head, but the Cleveland Cavaliers took a guy, Imani Bates. If you know the Cleveland Cavaliers, their team goes about 7 deep. Everything behind that is guys that you should not be taking in the waiver wire. They epitomize lack of depth. So of course a guy like Imani Bates is going to be one of the first people off the bench by the All-Star break if they know what the hell they're doing, because they didn't have a bench last year and they didn't do anything for themselves. It's the truth. They overpay. Who they overpay from the Miami Heat? Max Strus. He getting like 100,000 times more than what he should be getting. But the minutes, they'll be there. But is he really going to play more than Imani Bates in the grand scheme of things? Probably not. Probably not. Not in the grand scheme of things. And if he does, his production won't be half as much as Imani in theory. In theory. Imani's going to be their sixth man, if you ask me. And it's like, I didn't take him in most of my teams because other players that I feel could have gotten better situations, could be in better situations to start the season. But nevertheless, when you look at a shallow bench and then you look at a player like that, a wing, and then you look at the other players on the bench, you look at guys like Caris LeVert, who stays hurt. And then got guys like Dean Wade, stays hurt, ain't really no good. Like, of course Monty's going to play. It goes without saying. Of course he's going to play. So it's like if you have a deep team where you have to draft like 20 people, if money ain't on your team, there's something wrong with you. You're not paying attention. It's like that's how I look at it. Look at a guy like Derek Lively. Derek Lively should be on in all leagues. They drafted him to be their only shot blocking presence. Who's in front of him? Dwight Powell? Stop playing. What's his name? The other guy from the Sacramento Kings that always be missing. I can't think of his name, but Derek Lively's going to have that starting job before the start of the season. He'll be the starting center. Why isn't he drafted in all teams? You got bench players, guys that have been in the league for 15 years. People want to draft over him, and I take him right off of you. Thank you. He's on the waiver wire. I take him. And by the end of the season, y'all gonna want him. So this is what I was coming with. I wish I could have more names. My mind is gonna blank on a lot of these dudes' names from the draft. But at the end of the day, some of these dudes, especially just off the sheer situation they're in, should be drafted automatically, especially in deep leagues. Because at the end of the day, if you're drafting a dude that you know damn well is going to be playing behind somebody like Dame Lillard all year long, he's not going to have any value. And you know you're going to waive him for whoever pops up. And whoever pops up will likely be a rookie. You're likely to be a rookie. Anthony Black is being left on just about every league that I'm in. Every league I'm in, he's on the waiver wire. Every one of them. Second overall pick, Brandon Miller, he's left on the waiver wire a good portion of the time. Osura Thompson, left on the waiver wire a good portion of the time. Like, these things, they don't make any sense to me, man. And the people y'all be drafting ain't going to do nothing for you in a lot of these situations. They're not going to do anything for you, man. So I'm telling you, in all my deep leagues, you're going to see all kinds of rookies. And I don't expect all of them to pop, but enough of them will to give me the value that ultimately will attach itself to my starters, and I have one of the deepest teams in fantasy basketball. Every single year, it never fails. It never fails. Now, sometimes you run into a situation where, if you draft too soon, which is also a part of the problem for me, because I like drafting early, you'll end up getting Chet Holmgren. He goes down with the injury, and all of a sudden you got him on a bunch of leagues. You didn't took him, you know what I mean? And he's just not going to be able to play for you because he's out for the season. But that don't really have to do with whether or not his upside would have made sense if he would have played. He was going to be the starting center. And he was being left on waiver wires. Same thing this year. It's like people are leaving him out there to like the 10th and 11th round. What? And Victor Wembanyama, I told you, this is the boogeyman. I don't think people really understand what just entered the league with Victor Wembanyama. He's a 7'5" guy that plays like a guard, who can block shots all day long. Also a good playmaker as well, can shoot the three. There shouldn't be 10 people drafted ahead of him. There shouldn't be 10 people in this league drafted ahead of him. And he has the whole San Antonio to himself. And he's going in like the 4th round, 5th round. How does it make any sense? How does this make any sense? He's the boogeyman. I told y'all. This is the dude they've been waiting for. This is the type of player that's supposed to he's going to break the video game. Because his height and length. And the fact that he's flexible and things of that nature make it so that you expect for him to stay healthier than anybody else who's ever been his height. The likelihood he busts doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And I'm seeing people taking guys in the 2nd round, 3rd and 4th players on the team being taken over him. You taking guys that are injury prone, career injury prone guys. It's like, what? See guys like Chris Middleton going before Wembanyama in certain cases. Like, what? Stop this nonsense. Get the rookies, especially the high level ones. Brandon Miller should not be left on the board like that. Although I do have questions about Brandon Miller specifically as it pertains to his body being ready for the NBA. He might not be ready. And if that's the case, I'll be ready to drop him. Why? Because I took him with my last pick. You see what I'm saying? Took him with my last pick because he's left there. I'm telling y'all, if you have a fantasy basketball team, people like Derek Lively, people like Jarris Walker, they need to be drafted, man. If your team is deep, take them. The Thompson twins, no-brainer. Absolute no-brainer. Why? Because all the bench players on their team are not better than them already. Already. I'm telling you, they're better than the whole bench on the NBA. Both of them. Kid you not. BDL 44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.